When we first start learning a new language and picking up new words, it is fun. They seem easy to remember and all seems wonderful. However, the more we discover about the language, the more difficult it can seem to keep track of everything that we've learned. This is why having a good and efficient way to document our study is really important, because it helps us track the progress and keeps us motivated. With that said, if you are learning Spanish on your own or want to know how to even learn Spanish on your own and your goal is to become conversational fluent in the language like I am, then this video is for you, because today we are diving into documenting and tracking your process. So for context, I have been learning Spanish since 2016, and one of my biggest challenges has been measuring my progress. I mean, I know that I've advanced in the language since I've started because hablo español con fluidez. Tengo un ritmo con mi español, y mi pronunciación también es muy buena, de verdad. Y digo eso con muchísima humildad. No digo esto para presumir, ¿sí? ¿Ok? Por cierto, tengo que decirles algo. Para hablar con fluidez no significa que hablemos sin errores. No. Mi español existe con errores. A veces yo hablo así. ¿Cómo se dice? How do I say? So back to what I was saying, I definitely know I have made progress on the journey thus far, but the reality of the situation is I haven't had a system for measuring or tracking my progress. So therefore, it's kind of just been up in the air, like in a really sophisticated way, you know? I do have videos that are a testament to my growth thus far, native speakers telling me that my Spanish is really good, etc. But something that I was able to reflect on that I was lacking was my personal system to show me the day-to-day small wins, you know? And this revelation of me lacking a system comes from this one quote in this book by James Clear, and he says this: "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." So then what is the difference between a system and a goal? How do you set a system rather than a goal? Well, a system is like a schedule or a process, whereas a goal is a destination. And in our case, as language learners, it's a desired outcome. So to simplify this, to build an effective system, we first need to decide what we want to achieve. Then we choose one habit that will nudge us towards what we want. And then we regularly, check our system and see how we can improve it. So I share this to give context to the fact that I've come to realize that tracking habits is what allows us to measure our progress in a realistic way. It's a method. So I actually want to make this video really, really practical and share what my personal system looks like and how actually to measure progress with Spanish, because unless we're actively seeing results, it's very hard for us to keep on going, So this is something that I've personally been doing for about 5 months now, and it's honestly changed the game for me. So welcome to my Spanish Hub. Okay, so I am using a tool called Notion. This is not a sponsored video, well, not yet anyway, by Notion, but this is the productivity tool that I use for basically everything. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty details today because I just want to show you my system, but this gives you some insight to the system. So let's head over. Okay, so this is, let me just put myself over here in the corner. So this is my back screen, Más Amor, por favor. And I've just called it something called the vehicle of Spanish, because Spanish is a vehicle for me to get to, a larger goal. So let's run through this really quickly. I've got this nice quote here, and actually it'd be nice to show you my why. So this is something I've got here. It says my why behind my why. Let me just highlight it so you can see it. My why behind my why, because those days where I cannot be bothered and I don't want to do anything, in a nutshell, I just need my why to keep me going and motivate me to just, don't give up. You got this. So in case you're interested in my why, I will just walk you through this really quickly. So why does Ayo want to learn Spanish? So let's take it one step at a time. So Spanish is the second most spoken language in the world. So it opens up the door to communicate with over 400 million Spanish speakers worldwide and the ability to freely travel. And then I asked myself, why again? Okay, well, what's so good about that, Ayo? Really going deeper a bit here. So, when I learn a new language, a whole new world of opportunities is opened up to me. New people I can now speak to, which would have previously been impossible. Okay, tell me a bit deeper. Like, tell me a bit more. Well, I'm in the people and personal development business, so being able to communicate with people on a personal level is a priceless asset and skill. Okay, we're getting there. Tell me a bit more about that. Well, as a speaker, mentor and teacher who loves meeting new people and travel, I want to be able to communicate without the language barrier. It means I'm able to reach, teach and preach in Spanish. Okay, tell me a bit more. Why is that important to you? Well, I'm able to fulfill the Great Commission on a much larger scale. My purpose as a kingdom ambassador is that I must preach the good news, the gospel of the kingdom of God to other cities and towns. Luke 4:43. Okay. Let's go a bit deeper. Well, fundamentally, I want to be recognized and remembered years to come as someone who not only spoke about achieving things, but took action on breaking glass ceilings, which will inevitably inspire others to do the same. So this is my why. If you haven't already got a why, I want to encourage you to get yours, get writing. This is something that probably took me, it's been a long journey in terms of refining it like this, but you are in a position where you can start with your why today if you haven't already and have it written down. So on this journey, you have something to keep you going. And I've got my vision here, some of the things I want to do with the language. I guess I'll just show you really quickly. So, I want to be able to do through social media videos, courses, workshops, conferences, empower girls and young women about self-esteem, develop self-confidence, personal development, leadership, how to speak in public, and finances. Okay, so let's just click here, and these are images of girls and young women just to remind me of my why every day when I come on this page. So now let's get to the system. So I have this thing here called Progress, Mi Progreso. And I have a reminder here, again, para aprender un nuevo idioma tienes que estar dispuesto a dejar ir el tuyo. In a nutshell, this reminder is telling me, hey, in order for you to learn new languages, you have to be open. You have to leave yours and basically be open and willing to embrace a new language and culture and a new way of doing things. Cool. So let's go to the weekly progress. What I'm going to do is show you how I started this, and over time I'm going to show you how it's progressed. So this is the weekly progress archive that I have here. So let's actually start from March 2021, from when I started this, okay? So we're going to go to the first week that I started this, which was the week beginning with the 22nd of March. I actually later found out down the line that this is not how you say the date in Espanol, but hey, we live and we learn, right? So going a bit further now. So what I was doing, starting off, I said, okay, cool. I'm going to have, these were the activities that I had for the week. I had scriptures that I was going to say out loud and listen to about my identity in Christ. I had the date I was going to do it, had the time of the day I was going to do it. And then I had the key skills that I was going to be incorporating, the amount of time I was going to dedicate to it. And then I just had notes. So it sort of just progressed that way. And then this part was also really good because I had it in segments. Like every week I would essentially reflect. I would have a weekly reflection activity, which I still do to this day, typically on a Sunday evening. And that is just basically me saying, okay, cool. How was my journey of Spanish this week? I don't just do it for Spanish. I do it for holistically other parts of my life, but we're speaking about Spanish right now. So I said, okay, cool. What did I like this week? And that's the first question here. What did I like most this week? I've got, what did I learn this week? So was my my daily schedule realistic? Was it achievable each day? Do I feel like upon reflection, I need to add activities? Do I need to take away activities? The number of activities I was doing. And then I've got, how could I have done better this week, for example? And then I've got this question here, which says, what do I wish was maybe possible for my week to have been more productive and more better? And then I've got, did I have an equal, balanced schedule this week? So for example, reading, writing, speaking, and listening, were all of those four, implemented into the week. So this was just basically me reflecting upon the week. And as you can see, I definitely still make mistakes with my Spanish. So it's like, I put something first and then I'm like, okay, there's a better way to say it. So that's where when you see things crossed out, it's basically me, reflecting on all of this good stuff. So this is basically a week in March, and then it typically continued. Let's go to a week in April. So let's just come to the week beginning, the 26th of April, for example. Then I realized that, okay, I need to start having goals for the week, because what was happening was I was progressing, but then there was no specific direction. There was no goal. So I was like, okay, what's your goal for the week, Ayol? So in this week, for example, the goal was to go back to language study with the aim of improving my conversational topics. This will help me better interact with native speakers confidently, because it's one thing to speak, but then, la confianza es tantísimo importante, ¿sí? Confidence is really important. Additionally, I aim to read one blog post every evening. So here you can just see some of the things that I've got in terms of my activities. I've got this particular course, Español con Paul, and then I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to do reflective verbs. And then I'm also going to do this intensive speaking Spanish course that I had gotten at the time. I've got my dates, I've got the time of the day I'm going to do it. Then the skills I'm going to be incorporating, how many minutes. I clearly didn't do it that week. And then I actually started saying, okay, cool, did I do it this week? Because what I realized in the previous tracker that you could see was that I said I was going to do it, but at the end of the week, I don't actually know if I really did it. So I just thought, hey, this nice little tick box would be nice to actually just, tick it off. I mean, even though I had the notes section, it was just nice. So I just added this column in, and then I started adding in, daily reading, because I started to realize that, my reading was getting a bit ad hoc and it wasn't, as consistent. And I wanted to be able to track how often I was reading. So that was that. So that was the month of April. So we've done March, we've done April. Let's now come up to July. So that was a big skip. Okay, cool. Should we go to June? Yeah, let's go to June. So how did things go in June? So let's come to here, the 26th of June. So now this is where things get a little bit juicy. So here I had my goal for the week to get a better understanding and improve my sentence structure by integrating a streamlined hands-on approach. So I wanted to transcribe my Building a Relationship with God as a Young Woman YouTube video to Spanish. So this is a story, as a speaker, I tell a lot of stories. This is something I say in English, but hey, how would I, say that in Spanish? So my process for transcribing is not literally going on Google Translate and then going on, Spanish, English. No, it's actually going through that English transcription, word, sentence by sentence, saying, okay, cool, how would I say this? If I know this, I would then write it out. If there's a word missing that I don't know how to say, I would then go on maybe Google Spanish Dict is a tool that I use, or I would go on what else would I go on? Spanish Dict, or maybe this tool called Lingui. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I'll put the link down below. And then I will just literally say, okay, cool, how would I say this? So what I'm doing is I'm actively learning, as opposed to just saying, hey, this is this. So that's a goal that I had for the week. I wanted to use existing dictionary / vocab build. Wow, I didn't even finish it there, but yeah, I wanted to use my existing, I have this vocab dictionary that I wanted to use, and then I wanted to read out loud every night. So as you can see, in terms of my goals, it's getting a bit more specific, it's getting more refined from when I started to this month here, end of June. So then you can see here, the activities I set myself for the week. And then, some of the times I did it, sometimes I didn't. As you can see here, I wasn't consistent with always putting in the minutes, but hey, it's a journey. And then I can see here that, okay, you're reading, slacking a little bit. And then again here, good reflection points. I'm also part of a conversation club. This is a really good reflection point that I had. During conversation club, I found myself a little shy to begin with this week, because I was paired with someone who appeared to have better Spanish than me. This was good for me to note, because that's me playing the comparison game. Why am I English here? LOL. I was able to catch myself and carry on, but it's good to reflect on and work on moving forward. I was probably tired when I wrote this, because this is not complete English, but anyways, we move. And then again here we have what I would have done, my reflection for the week. So that's just to give you an overview. So let's just fast forward to where I am today. And so this is this week that's just gone. And then again, you can see here my goal for the week: to use Spanish short stories to work on vocabulary, comprehension, and grammar. So then we have my activities for the week here, things that I've done. This week has been a pretty good week in terms of, you know, my consistency, in terms of reflection points, in terms of time, etc. And then here, yep, you can just see the notes that I've made for myself. So just really going into detail. So by all means, feel free to pause the video here so you can have a read of some of the notes that, you know, I'm taking, so I'm able to track my progress. So now this is actually something that I really wanted to share with you, which is actually going to be my goal for next week or the week after. I recently invested in a language coach. I'm going to plug her here, Erica Ray, Spanish language coach, and she has honestly changed she's just changed the game for me. And what working with her has done, it has meant I'm actually refining my goals a lot more. So I'll show you something that this is really, really an amazing place that I'm now in with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom out, and you can pause this and just have a read of this and see how specific this is. Okay, so now that you've had a quick read of that, you can see that this goal right here is so specific, and actually it's probably, when I am now going to do my plan, when I am going to do my system, as you can see here, the activities that I'm going to be doing, so this, for example, this table here, is going to be so much more streamlined, and it's going to be so much more specific to this particular goal that I'm going to be working on. Their milestones that have been defined. It's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So yeah, that is basically, you know, the system. So as you can see, you know, I'm here highlighting my goals, and I'm also showing the progress and the system, should I say, that's actually going to get me towards that goal. So that's it for this segment of the video. Now you have some insight into how I'm advancing on a weekly basis with my Spanish, which is really, really exciting because we are on this language learning journey together. So I want to encourage you watching this, particularly if you are not in a position where your conversations are as fluid as you'd like. You know, if you've seen my system, let it be an encouragement to you, and you can start putting your own systems together. So the key takeaway from this video is that before we get stuck into the day-to-day of language study, we first must have a language learning system, because remember, we don't rise to the level of our goals, but rather we fall to the level of our systems. Our goal is the desired outcome, but the system is what helps us get there. So based on this video, please let me know in the comments below how else I can support you on your language learning journey. What Spanish related content would you like to see from me? Maybe you'd like to know more about how I'm even using this Notion productivity tool. Let me know. And lastly, if you haven't already checked out the existing Spanish learning playlist that we have here for you, then check it out. Hasta luego.